Well, this is a nostalgic feeling. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. It has been a very, very long time, and I definitely owe you guys an apology for that. I'll be honest and say that I had quite little idea of the direction I wanted to take this video in when I started putting it together. I still don't really, but I miss you guys, so I figured we might as well go on something of a nostalgia trip together. Before we move on, let's just take a look at something that should preface the rest of this video pretty nicely. So heading back to the Stone Age, when I uploaded my second to last video, I was reputation 231. Now I don't actually show my rep level in the most recent video, but I believe it was up to 235. Fast forwarding to present day, after nearly 19 months, you'd probably expect me to be at least, well, higher than this. This clip playing in the background is actually the first time I'd opened the game in months, so I felt it was pretty fitting to leave it in. I seriously can't believe this game has been out for more than 4 years. I want to talk a bit about the game itself. A lot of you might be wondering if I had some sort of falling out from the game or a reason for stopping playing. Let me just say that first, For Honor is one of my favorite games of all time. To me, that's not something that changes just because you're not so excited about jumping into matches anymore. The game still has such a special place in my heart. I mean, just listen to this. If you know, you know, right? Opening up the game and hearing that menu music was a legitimately magical feeling in the early days. The For Honor world has something to it that I've never experienced in any other game. The variety and uniqueness, even within the original 9 to 12 heroes, felt vast. I mean, the level of depth that the combat system Ubisoft created has is just off the charts. And while it's not without its flaws, major ones really, it's what kept me loving the game for so long. I'm sure tons of you guys shared the same feeling as I had when a new hero was released and the moveset showcase went live on Warrior's Den. Even just leaked aesthetics of the hero leading up to the release made it the #1 thing I was looking forward to more often than not. I eagerly awaited Splice full hero guides. I mean, I was practically spamming refresh on the man's channel wanting to hear him spill all the secrets on how to combo my opponents into oblivion. After that, it was on to Freeze's frame check and max punish videos, and then straight into the arena. I'm not alone in this, right? Also, just a heads up that I'm going to try to be super active in the comment section with hearts and replies, so don't hesitate to share any thoughts or nostalgic memories with the game. That level of nostalgia and excitement counts for so many things involving the game. New maps, gear, executions, all of the above. It was so engaging being part of the community, and something I never want to take for granted. At this point, I haven't even mentioned the creation of my channel, something that I basically decided to make on a whim after collecting a few Xbox game clips. It just goes to show that you don't need any sort of fancy equipment to be a YouTuber, even if you're just a casual console player like me. To this day, I don't own a capture card, I use a free editing software, and I'm using the built-in microphone on my laptop since the headphone jack doesn't even have an input. I just had a passion for the game, and I have to give you guys all the credit in the world for sharing that passion with me and fueling my drive to make YouTube videos. Every video I put out has been something I'm proud of, and I think the amount in which I truly enjoyed playing For Honor was something that showed. Creating a montage for a new hero was always such an organic process for me. I'd play the game because it was an absolute blast, and it was basically a byproduct that I'd end up with the footage to make a montage. Obviously this wasn't the case with all my videos, some of which requiring a lot of planning and effort to put together, such as the level 3 bot tourney video, challenges I made up, or showcase style videos. But they were all still fun to make because I was just that invested in the game and had all sorts of ideas to try. This just isn't really the case for me anymore. Around the time Zanu came out, it was the first time that I felt like I was hopping into matches with the new hero not to have fun, but to simply collect footage for a video. I even made a whole montage with him, but the clips I was using just didn't seem on par with what I've used in the past, and even though I'd gone through all the trouble to produce the video, I just couldn't bring myself to release it. Ever since then, I haven't really attempted to create more content. Without feeling that drive to play the game in which my channel itself is based on, it just hasn't been something I could continue. It's not quite as sudden as I'm making it sound though. I could feel my motivation waning for practicing new heroes and keeping up with the meta by the time Yorm came out too, which sort of led into my experience with Zanu. Some of you might disagree with this, but For Honor is an incredibly tough game to return to after leaving for a long period of time. To maintain a highly competitive skill level, a player needs to have an immaculate understanding of game mechanics and nuances in the movesets of literally every character in the roster. And with this roster growing all the time, it's becoming harder and harder to have that level of mastery that I always used to strive to have. So you take a few months off, heroes have been reworked, new ones have came out, mechanics have been adjusted, and all of a sudden there's a massive barrier between you and the skill ceiling that you otherwise would have grown with naturally. For some people this might not be a big deal, but as someone who at least believes they used to be close to this ceiling and worked hard to maintain that, it really feels bad to go back and get dumpstered over and over again by moves and mechanics you've never seen before. Now someone with a stronger will than me could simply practice and work their way back up, but it's just not something that I've had the time or effort to pursue. As many of you may or may not know, I'm in college for engineering right now, and unsurprisingly, it's rather time consuming. Even this video itself I've had to work on over the course of a few weeks, finding small gaps of time where I can sit down and edit. Speaking of getting dumpstered though, quick little change of pace and some very familiar music, and I'll let you guys take a break from my voice and peep some highlights of my first match since returning to the game. Okay, not exactly what a lot of you might associate that music with. Obviously that wasn't really an example of what I meant by falling behind on game knowledge. As far as I know, Highlander hasn't been changed in ages, and Raider's moveset is something that I should still be familiar with. But honestly, with the small amount of the game that I've played even since then, I still attempted to dodge guard break more times than I care to admit. I literally forgot the button on my controller in which to throw the guy. There's kinda no excuse for that one at least. It's just not quite like riding a bike, which shouldn't come as a surprise I guess. Fighting a reputation 400 plus player who's been playing on the daily versus someone who hasn't repped up in over a year doesn't exactly give me a good chance. I did eventually win a duel, let's just say I'm rep 236 now. At that point I was feeling a lot more warmed up and ready to take on the heroes that I used to fully understand, but encountering griffins and warmongers was just throwing me off so much that I basically was just having to play aggressive and hope for the best. For Honor has always had a way of making people let go of themselves a little when they're frustrated. I doubt there's a single experienced player watching this video that hasn't been absolutely infuriated at some point. It's kind of been a meme that there's a dramatic love-hate relationship between longtime players in the game, which honestly has some truth to it. In the past it was just that no matter how frustrating it could get, the amount of fun I had far outweighed it. On the other hand, these days, and in my very recent experience, I'm way quicker to jump to excuses or just feeling like I'm getting unlucky rather than outplayed, which is not the way I want to feel. It was a much simpler time back in the day. Raider had the combat effectiveness of a potato, but he was still so much fun to play. The roster was small, and I could have the confidence to challenge any trash talker to a duel without having worries like, oh, what if he picks this one unfair hero and spams me with this or that. Speaking of trash talkers, we do have to at least mention my salt videos. It goes back to that organic video creation process that I talked about before. The 3 of those videos I've put out have all been entirely unplanned, random encounters, and none of it's played up for the sake of a video or anything like that. I'm honestly surprised more people haven't assumed they're fake. I've gotten the occasional comment saying like, oh, no way someone would actually act like this, and all I can say is, well, I guess you'd be surprised. I'd simply take as many game clips as I could and try to tell the story as accurately as possible by going through all the messages chronologically. I can't even describe my surprise at the amount of attention those videos ended up getting. I never expected the second to be as popular as the first, and same for the third from the second. I was always on the lookout for potential scenarios that met my standard for assault video, but over the entire duration of my channel, there really have only been just the 3. And believe me, I would have loved to showcase plenty more of these bafflingly toxic people to make examples of what not to do out of them. Several people have been close, but I'd always ask myself, did this person really make as big a fool out of themselves as they could have? and 99 times out of 100, it's a no. I can't just give credit to people like Yusa and Lolgeroof for the channel gaining traction, of course. You guys loved the crazy high damage hero builds and satisfying montages as much as I did. Some old clips where the music lines up just right still give me serotonin. I do feel like I've been rambling quite a bit, so at this point I'm not even quite sure what to title a video like this. No, this isn't an I'm back video or anything like that. I'm practically just as unsure as you guys are when my next upload might be. I know that's not what a lot of you want to hear, but I can tell you that even now I haven't made a conscious decision to quit YouTube. It's just as simple as if there's something in the future that draws me to play, and as a result means I can make a video I'm proud of, it'll happen. I do certainly want to chat with you all for a while though. What have you been up to? Do you still play For Honor? And if you do, how has your experience changed over the years? I'd also love to hear about the F8 YouTubers you've been watching in the meantime. Let me know your favorites. It's about time for me to sign off, but I'm not really going anywhere in the end. I appreciate you all tremendously, and thank you from the bottom of my heart for sticking with me all along. Until next time.